All right, welcome back to Happy Hour with Heather and Guest. This is episode number 84. I'm that other dude wearing his old school fedora, and I'm joined as always by Heather.
Hello.
And today it was my turn in the rotation. So we're going to talk about a group from Argentina named Graven Dägger. And the dagger, of course, has an umlaut, I believe, over the E, which I always, anytime there's an umlaut involved, I'm excited, even if it's not necessary. But yeah, this was a band that Doomsayer 2001 on Twitter had mentioned them a few weeks ago, and I just remember thinking that's a cool name. I should check this band, and if he's endorsing them, then that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. He comes up with some good ones sometimes.
yeah, so this was I think they just have the self-titled album that was released last year in October. Um, so what did you think?
Yeah, with the name of the band, I wasn't really sure what to expect, but it was very intriguing to me. Um, it's like instrumental classic rock, kind of classic hard rock, and it has some really nice melodies, and I thought it was kind of soothing actually. I have I like how there's a short intro song and then there's also a short outro song. And I listened to the digital album and I listened to it once just through a speaker and then I listened to it once with my headphones on. And with my headphones on, I noticed that in between the songs there's like a surface noise that sounded like you're playing it on a record player, which I thought that was kind of cool, and that kind of contributes to the retro feel that it has. Um, it also reminded me of some of the classic guitar greats of the 70s and 80s, and some of the albums that they put out, during those decades. And the last song is aptly titled "He Who Has the Last Laugh," and I I thought that was appropriate. I really like that.
Yeah, I didn't, again, like with you, I didn't really know what to expect. Um, I figured Doomsayer 2001 has earned enough credibility that if he suggests listen to a band, I will without any hesitation. Um, and then it was interesting because on Bandcamp, they give it the following tags of rock, blues rock, classic heavy metal, and then something called dungeon rock and dungeon synth, heavy blues, heavy rock, and occult rock. I wasn't really familiar with dungeon rock or dungeon synth, but I also saw an article describing this album as lo-fi dungeon synth, which I guess probably speaks to the surface noise you heard when you were listening to it with headphones. Um, but very bluesy, a lot more bluesy than I thought. But yeah, it's sort of a classic rock with a bit of a bluesy feel. Um, the track that I thought, if you were going to listen to one track to get a taste of sort of what they're like, they have a song called "Blues from the Black Lagoon," which I think is the second to last song. Um, and yeah, it's really very soothing. From a band whose name is Graven Dagger, you're not really expecting soothing, but sort of a bluesy psychedelic type feel, but not like a blast off psychedelic. It's more just like you're swimming psychedelic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's that melody, and it's yeah, it is really soothing. Surprisingly, surprisingly, when I listened to it, I did find it very soothing. So, and I think that melody.
Yeah, I think it would be great to just put on in the background if you're relaxing, if you're going for a drive. It sort of fits every different scenario. I did happen to find an interesting article because I was wondering where the name came from, and I found an article where they discovered Bronze Age grave daggers. So these were prehistoric daggers, long thought to be non-functional ceremonial objects interred in warriors' graves, were actually used to slaughter and butcher animals during the early 4th millennium BC, a new study suggests. So whether or not this is actually where they got the name grave dagger, I don't know. But I wanted to sound smart, so I'm going to read the next paragraph because the new research process uses a type of diagnostic dye called picoserous red solution, or PSR, to stain any organic residue that remains on the daggers, and scientists then examine this under a variety of different microscopes, including optical, digital, and electron, to determine if any remains are still on the blade and if they are likely human or animal. So, again, I will say, I've said this thousands of times, but is there another music review show out there that will also mention something like picoserous red solution and electron microscopes? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I mean, I doubt there's any show out there, regardless, even if it's like a metallurgy show, that's going to talk about this stuff. I mean, you really have to go out way out into left field to. I mean, I even feel like I need to start reining myself in a little bit, that I've gone too far out there. But it was fun, you know. The name, like, Graven Dägger is cool because that's what it could be. But like with Murloc, we had, we guessed like 8 or 9 different possibilities, and none of them were correct.
Right.
So,
And the mystery is still there because they wouldn't tell us what it means.
no, and I'm grateful. I don't want to know. I don't want to know what Murloc means. I don't really want to know what Graven Dägger means. I'm happy that I got to wax philosophical about picoserous red solution or whatever it's called, but at the end of the day, I don't need to know.
Yeah. So, it's just a cool sounding name.
It is a cool sounding name, and they're a cool sounding band, literally. Like the music they play is really cool. It's very, but like you said, very melodic. I feel like it would be a great gateway album. If people are hesitant to listen to harder music because they don't want, too much distortion or whatever, this would be like a nice segue into something a little heavier, but still melodic and psychedelic, that could sort of straddle a bunch of different genres.
Yeah, and the fact that it doesn't have any, lyrics, any singing, any vocals, and it's all instrumental. I think, if it were like a gateway band, it would make it even more palatable.
Yeah.
Because it's just music and there's no singing at all. Because sometimes the vocals, certain styles of vocals can be off-putting for people. And the fact that it's just instrumental, I think, makes it even more palatable.
Yeah, well, and there's really nothing, like, I could play this album for anyone, really, and I can't think of a single person I know who would be like, yeah, I don't really dig this.
Right.
It's such great music, that I just feel like they would appreciate it on its own merit.
Yeah.
And then probably I could say, well, if you're interested in something a little harder or a little more distorted, I could lead you in this direction. If you want something, more psychedelic, I could lead you in this direction. But this is like the perfect blend of hard rock, blues, and psychedelics. That's like, you get a great feel for it, and it's not oppressive at all.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I would say go check out. I know it's available on Bandcamp, and I know that they have it on Wax, which I've always wanted to say after listening to the Beastie Boys. when Ad Rock at one point says, "And we're putting on wax. It's the new style." And then I didn't know what that meant until I learned that it was vinyl. Putting it on wax. So yeah, you can get Graven Dagger's self-titled album on wax. I think someone whose name I forgot commented on one of our social media posts saying they just got it on wax. So I hope they're enjoying it.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah.
And I promise I'm going to stop saying on wax. So, but yeah, Graven Dagger, I would definitely check this album out. I know it's on YouTube. A bunch of people have put up I think like Mr. Doom 666 has the whole album. Plus, you can get it on Bandcamp digitally and
Yeah.
and vinyl. See, I
Yeah.
stopped saying on wax. Proud of myself.
Yeah.
Uh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I've got for episode 84. Go check out Graven Dagger, and then next week it's your week. So I'm stoked to see what we've got. I'm not going to look behind the curtain though because I want to be surprised. So awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you dug it.
Yeah, I did. It was a really good suggestion, and
Cool.
yeah,
well, thank
like
you.
Yeah, like you said, I think most people that listen to it will find some enjoyment with it, and that's what music is all about.
Absolutely.
Enjoyment.
And thank you, Doomsayer 2001, for the recommendation.
Yeah.
And I will keep going back to the well to get more.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Cool. Well, have a good rest of the weekend, everyone, and we will see you next Sunday.
Bye.